VBS to us is a swear word. When they want to swear at us, they say VBS.
I mean, the question would be, why do you people feel insulted when people mention VBS? Because this is what happens even in parliament. If someone takes the podium and start mentioning VBS, you will see the EFF bench will stand up, they will raise the point of order, they will start heckling whoever mentioned the word. And the same EFF says that ANC is the one that looted VBS, but you don't see the ANC members feeling insulted whenever someone mentions VBS. So why are you guys feeling insulted when people mention VBS? If you know that you have nothing to do with VBS, why do you feel insulted?
VBS to us is a swear word. When they want to swear at us, they say VBS. So they don't mean it. They don't genuinely mean it. You sit with Zweli Mkhize that side. You've got Jacob Mama, Zweli Mkhize, who asked for 2 million, were told by that sponsored affidavit. 5 million of Communist Party that was asked by Jacob Mama Wool. The guy says in his own sponsored affidavit, I offered to donate to the EFF. He doesn't say the EFF came to ask me for money. So since when a person donating to the EFF being a crime?
Oh, Julius, you know the way the EFF has been handling this matter of VBS and the donation and the loans. It's quite funny because the guy didn't just say they donated to the EFF. This is not the context of his affidavit. The context of the affidavit is that you guys were making a lot of noise about the loan that Jacob Zuma got from VBS, and this is the reason why Tsifiwa Matodi had to buy your silence with that donation. It was not just an innocent donation. According to the affidavit of Tsifiwa Matodi, he donated to you allegedly because he was buying your silence. You were making a lot of noise about the loan that Jacob Zuma got, and this is the reason why he donated to you allegedly. It is not as simple as this is just a donation and we are a political party and political parties receive donations and there's nothing wrong and there's nothing criminal about us receiving a donation. No, this is not the context of that donation. This is not the context of that donation.
To donate to the EFF. He doesn't say the EFF came to ask me for money. So since when a person donating to the EFF being a crime? Then he says in the same paragraph, they knew when I donate 5 million, they know it's a bribe. How can I know that when you say donation is a bribe when we meet for the first time?
So the argument would be, you would know it's a bribe when someone offers you money to stop talking about what they are doing. It is bribery. That's where the argument would be. And that is what he's arguing, basically, that he bribed you to stop talking about the loan that they gave to Jacob Zuma. This is the argument that he's making. This is the argument that he's making, that he bribed you with that money so that you can stop talking about the loan that Jacob Zuma got. Why are you misrepresenting the affidavit that everyone can read?
Bribe. How can I know that when you say donation is a bribe when we meet for the first time?
You would know it's a bribe when someone makes it clear that, man, you know, you've been making a lot of noise about this donation that we made to the former president. And can you please, man, keep it down and we will give you this amount of money. Please keep it on the hush-hush, then you would know immediately that this money is a bribe money, which is the argument that Tsifiwa Matodi is making. Why are you making it look like you would not know from the first time that this is a bribe? Of course you would know. As soon as you understand the context of the donation, then you understand that this is a bribe. This is a bribe. This is what he's saying. You don't need 2 or 3 meetings for you to actually understand that the money that was offered to you, it is a bribe. You don't need that. In the first 20 minutes, in the first 5 minutes, as soon as they start explaining to you the reasons why they are going to make this donation to the party, then you will know that this is a bribe.
I don't know your language. He doesn't claim to have met me before. He says the same day he met me. That's the same day he says he's going to make a donation, and I understood that to be meaning a bribe. How do I understand that to be meaning a bribe? There was a condition, according to him. Open a VBS account, therefore you'll get the money. We never opened a VBS account. EFF does not have a VBS account. EFF has never received a VBS money. Samkelo, Sunday Times said, I bought my house in Polokwane with VBS money. Till to date, there's nothing that has ever been produced.
You see, when it comes to what the EFF received or did not receive with VBS, man, I think you guys there in the EFF, you need to come together and you need to work out on your talking points, because this is not what Dali Mpofu said when he was on television. He only came back the following day to basically deny what he said on television.
There is no denial this time that the EFF party did receive funds from VBS.
No, there's never been a denial of that.
There's never been a denial of that. There has never been a denial of that.
The to Mr. Tebogo Kaz.
Yeah.
Just for the record.
Right.
There is no denial this time that the EFF party did receive funds from VBS.
No, there's never been a denial of that. That's why I'm saying there's nothing new. There's always been there are two. Okay, I was saying there are 3 things. The third thing is the loan, and that's what has always been in the public domain. Now, so you must separate what he calls a donation, which is what happens to political parties. There's no political party that doesn't receive donations. You see, let me assist you, Pauli. So, what is being said here is that there's corruption, okay? So I say, where's the corruption? Where's the fraud? And where's the money laundering or any crime? Okay. And let me assist you. If, let's take the worst case scenario. Let's say the guy says, okay, I'll give you a donation. He doesn't say that, but I'm just making it up. Let's say he says, I'll give you a donation if you stop criticizing me. Let's assume he said that. He didn't.
Of course he said it. He said he gave the EFF the donation to stop criticizing the loan that Jacob Zuma got. This is exactly what he said.
Let's say the guy says, okay, I'll give you a donation. He doesn't say that, but I'm just making it up. Let's say he says, I'll give you a donation if you stop criticizing me. Let's assume he said that. He didn't even say that. Even if he said that, so what? Because it's not a crime to criticize someone on a public platform or not to criticize them, for that matter. So it's not as an exchange for any corruption. What was the EFF going to get in return for not criticizing him, which happens, as I say, every time companies engage. I'll give you an example. A few years ago, I was accused of having met with Maria Ramos because we had threatened to march to APSA. And her people came, it was not her, by the way, but her people did come to my office to say, look, we want to explain the reason why you want to march and so on. And I listened to them, and that was it. So are we now going to arrest Maria Ramos because he sent people from a bank because the EFF was saying things which they thought they needed to explain, which is exactly what happened here.
I mean, these two examples are totally different, because those people, they came to your office and you only had a conversation with them. They did not come with a bag of money. If those people came with bags and bags of money and said, "Advocate, please take this money. We know that you want to march to the Standard Bank, and please, man, take this money and please do not march to Standard Bank," then people would actually accuse you of accepting the bribes. This is the argument that Tsifiwa Matodi is making about the EFF, that he gave them the money so that they can stop talking about the issue of Jacob Zuma. So you coming and saying that those people came to your office and you had a conversation and the EFF did not march to Standard Bank, they are two different. I don't know why you would actually make that example, because it is not the same. It is apple and oranges right now. This is what you are trying to do. So anyway, guys, this is a smaller documentary that actually came out yesterday. This is a documentary that was made by Pauli van Wyk and her team there in Daily Maverick. You know, they still exposes what actually happened in VBS. And I think one of the reasons why Pauli van Wyk is so determined to talk about this issue, especially when it comes to the role that EFF played in the collapse of VBS, allegedly, is because EFF denied having any hand in the collapse of the VBS. Unlike with the ANC has already admitted that, yeah, we know that some of the members of the ANC, they are responsible, or they were involved in the collapse of VBS. But when it comes to the EFF is a total different story. And I think this is the reason why this becomes a huge issue to the EFF, because unlike with the ANC has already admitted, even Fikile Mbalula did an interview a couple of days ago with the ANC podcast, and he said that ANC has to pay back the money that they got from VBS. So ANC is not denying any involvement in the collapse of VBS. They are not denying that. But when it comes to the EFF, it is a completely different story. And I think this is the reason why it makes such a huge fuss about the involvement of the EFF.
People have asked a very relevant question over why Julius Malema and Floyd Shivambu had never been charged if there is evidence existing of their guilt. But that is a very good question. I have the bank statements, but it's also ratified by the Mutao investigation. It is very clear that VBS money made its way towards Julius Malema and Floyd Shivambu's cars, their properties, their clothes, their champagne lifestyle. I am Pauli van Wyk, a journalist for Daily Maverick attached to the Scorpio Investigative Unit. On 10 July 2024, Tsifiwa Matodi, who was the chair of VBS, and in my words, the spider in the middle of the spider web, the man inside the room, signed an affidavit where he implicated a bunch of people in the crime of looting VBS.
It has created waves around the country and on media because of the explosive allegations it includes against senior members of VBS management and high-ranking politicians.
Matodi fingered some of his co-conspirators closely as Philip Dritter, the former CFO, Andile Ramavunga, Poppy Mukutubwane, who was the treasurer, Soli Maposa, and himself. According to Matodi, those 5 people were the central co-conspirators who broke the banking system, initiated payments or made payments to certain people which could be described as bribes. What he did reveal further is Ernest Nasani and Paul Magula, the directors of the PIC, and how exactly they were involved, that they demanded shares and that those shares be hidden because they would have a conflict of interest. He ensured that we, in his words, understand what the politicians were doing. Matodi described these people as commission agents, and in essence they were supposed to use political power mostly to lean on the municipalities and move money and deposit money right into VBS Mutual Bank. These commission agents included people like Danny Msiza of the ANC, former Limpopo treasurer, ANC loyalist Kabelo Matsepe, and then one of the municipal officials, Florence Radzilani, who were all involved in ensuring that municipalities deposited money into VBS Mutual Bank. He also, for the first time, mentioned how Floyd Shivambu and Julius Malema of the EFF came to enter the looting of the bank. And it is a very interesting tale. According to Matotsi, the EFF started criticizing VBS Mutual Bank after the loan of Jacob Zuma's homestead in Kandlan. Malema specifically started criticizing from the podium at political rallies VBS Mutual Bank and the loan given to Jacob Zuma. Matotsi then ensured that he initiated a meeting with Floyd and Julius. Matotsi then writes that they met at the EFF's penthouse. Now, I've fact-checked that statement. The EFF itself do not have a deed where they own any penthouse in Sandton or any penthouse in South Africa at all. We do suspect, though, that that penthouse is someone else's. In Jock Poe's book, Our Poisoned Land, he refers to how freely Julius Malema had access to one of Adriano Mazzotti's penthouses. So we suspect that it might relate to one of those incidents.
When the IEC asked us to pay for money, me and Floyd had nothing. We looked at each other in the eyes and said, what is going to happen? At that time, they asked for 650,000, and we had no means, none whatsoever. Later to be told through a telephone call, Mazzotti has got a very unique voice. Brother, the money is paid. Then we knew that we were good to go. That is how the EFF was allowed to contest the first election in 2014.
Matotsi says he pitches up at the Sandton penthouse for his meeting with Julius and Floyd. And at the same meeting is Marshall Dlamini of the EFF. But Marshall apparently never sat with them. He was sort of apart from the entire discussion. And this is very important. And everyone that stands up for the EFF in this say, but there were donations given from Matotsi to the EFF. Now, donations Matotsi himself uses in quotation marks, which already should show us that there's some skepticism about the definition. But then there's a very important line. Matotsi says that he and Julius and Floyd understood that this gratification, and the use of gratification is a meaningful word under our anti-corruption legislation called POCA and PRECA in South Africa. So this donation was understood by me and Julius and Floyd to be gratification in return for keeping silent and not criticizing the loan towards Jacob Zuma.
Exactly. Like, this is the reason why, like, it is so strange when you see the leader of the EFF, Julius Malema, not even...
In his own sponsored affidavit, I offered to donate to the EFF. He doesn't say the EFF came to ask me for money. So since when a person donating to the EFF being a crime?
So you see that Julius Malema is not addressing this, that the donation that they got from Matodi allegedly, it is a donation to actually buy their silence. He is not addressing that in that context. He just says that even if these people gave us the money as a donation, it is not a crime. And it is not the context of what the donation was. So it would actually make sense if he would say that Matodi never actually gave us money to keep quiet about the loan that VBS gave to Jacob Zuma. That way, it would actually make sense. That way, even the former chairperson, Dalimpofu, it would make sense if Dalimpofu said that this guy never alleged to have given us the money so that we can stop talking about the loan that they gave to Jacob Zuma. But they are simply posing it as if this was just a loan from VBS to the EFF, if it even happened, but it didn't happen. Julius Malema says, no, it didn't happen, but former chairperson says that we never denied getting any funds from VBS. They are not addressing it in its right context. That is the thing.
That is a very important statement to make. It's not a donation in the true meaning of the word. It's a donation, meaning rather more perhaps towards a bribe, to stay silent and not criticize VBS offering a loan to Jacob Zuma. The second very important point Matotsi made, when VBS imploded, the brothers Shivambu, Floyd and Brian, quickly set up and created a fake contract to try to make it seem as if the money movements were legitimate, and they backdated the contract and then signed it along with Matotsi. Now that very act, along with the word gratification, must tell us that Matotsi is implying a crime. And this is perhaps the most worrying situation that Matotsi aired in his affidavit, that no journalist knew of, was the case of former Treasury Director General Dondo Mogajane.
In his affidavit, he has accused Dondo Mogajane of asking for and accepting a 1 million rand bribe. Treasury had started putting the screws on VBS because municipalities were investing money into VBS, which was a mutual bank, and they were not allowed to do this.
Dondo Mogajane was the Director General at the time when National Treasury sent out a circular to different municipalities in the country and asked them to withdraw their municipal deposits from VBS Mutual Bank.
Matotsi then was trying to get Mogajane to agree to an 18-month reprieve from the ruling, telling municipalities not to put any more funds in.
The National Treasury was actually quite aware of the situation going on, but then they got tipped off that something is not okay at VBS Mutual Bank. And this tip-off seemed to have come from Mariette Venter, who was the CFO in Capricorn District Municipality. And that came about when I started investigating VBS, and I stumbled upon her and she told me a story of how she was bullied and how people tried to ensure and later suspended her for the fact that she wanted to withdraw her or the Capricorn municipality's deposit from VBS Mutual Bank. And she got a lot of flack for trying to do that. In that process of struggling with the bank, she told the Reserve Bank, was like, I can't get the money back. And that tipped off the Reserve Bank that something is not okay. They didn't know quite what was happening, but I think the trigger for Treasury sending out the circular happened right there. So at the time then, Matotsi was very aggrieved, and he said this would cause a run on the bank. If VBS Mutual Bank was as healthy as its financial statements showed that it was supposed to be, it would have been able to withstand the withdrawing of all the deposits from the municipalities. The big problem was that it wasn't. He was lying about about the financial statements. And that is a big problem. So what happened then is the municipalities started withdrawing the money, the bank had a liquidity problem, and the entire situation just imploded. Now, where Dondo then comes in is under his authority and as Director General of Treasury, the National Treasury sent out a circular to all municipalities to say that you should withdraw your deposits. In the meantime, Amabunganis published a story saying that they found corroboration for certain parts of Matotsi's story against Dondo Mogajane. Dondo Mogajane did not answer all the questions that they posed to him, and therefore leaves us with a lot of questions hanging.
I'm just happy, man, that this time around, Pauli is not talking about Dondo Mogajane with the same tone that she was talking when she went to 702. You remember that interview that Tlemeni Manyathela did with Advocate Dalimpofu? At the end of that interview, Tlemeni Manyathela invited Pauli van Wyk and CD from Eyewitness News, and they almost cried to the thought of Dondo Mokgajane being possibly involved in this mess of VBS. So, oh Dondo, my God, how can these people accuse Dondo of saying this, man? We believe the affidavit of Matsodi, but when it comes to Dondo, this affidavit will have to be relooked at. But right now you can see that Pauli van Wyk is actually treating Dondo Mokgajane like the same way she's treating everyone that has been implicated in this whole mess.
That is a problem. He is the chair of the GEPF that guards more than 2 trillion rand of South African funds, and him being in a position of such authority is questionable in the circumstances where really very important and very big allegations are made against him. Some of the first journalists who wrote about the VBS scandal long before we realized how expansive it would be was Dewald van Rensburg and Sipho Masandu, and at the time they were at City Press. They did really work to tell us that there's a problem at VBS Mutual Bank and that possible crimes have been committed, and many poor depositors were left destitute. And at the time, Floyd Shivambu started attacking a Treasury Deputy Director General Ishmael Mamoniat in Treasury. And some of our sources started telling us that the EFF and the ANC actually had a hand in assisting the looting at VBS Mutual Bank. And that triggered an interest in me because the politicians coming from that area, I mean, Julius Malema and Floyd Shivambu and Danny Msiza all come, and Florence Radzilani, many of the people who looted the bank come from the area where the poorest depositors stay. The poor women, they are older than my mother, and they were sleeping outside the bank on the stoop in the cold.
And guys, do you remember these pictures, man? These are the most heartbreaking pictures, man. When it comes to this thing of VBS, you just look at these pictures of the senior citizens sleeping outside the bank after hearing that their money allegedly disappeared from the bank. It is so insane that till today there has never been justice for these people. It is so insane that these are the kind of people that were robbed of their life savings. These are the victims. These are the victims. And just like Pauli said, that some of these people that are accused to have had a role in the collapse of VBS, they come from the same communities that these people are coming from. They come from the same communities, so they actually understand where these people come from. They understand where these people come from, but they did not bat an eye when it comes to stealing their money. This is how painful this whole situation was and still is. Today you have people that are suffering, man. They have hypertension, they have high blood, they have all sorts of illnesses because of actually what happened in VBS. Some of them are sick, some of them have already lost their lives because of this situation that happened in VBS, man. Like they understand very well. They understand very well. And this is the reason why this story of VBS, it is so important. Because you look at the people that were robbed of their life savings, you look at how poor these people are, you look at the fact that these people come from the poor communities. These are the people that were lied to and told that to withdraw their money wherever it was and to deposit their money in VBS. And the politicians just came and swiped everything and left these people with nothing. These are the people. These are the people, and this is the reason why this is so important. This is the reason why this thing has to be concluded. This is the reason why it has to be concluded. Because these are the people that have suffered. You remember, guys, how painful it was for those grandmothers, for those grandfathers to sleep outside the bank, man. Can you just imagine learning on radio that the bank that you have deposited your money in, it has been looted? Can you just imagine going to that bank to try to save your life savings, and when you get there, you find out that the money that you actually saved has been wiped out? You remember last time when we did that video with Clement Manyatela, the people were talking about the money that they have saved for their children to go to school. They were talking about the money that I have saved a lot of money for the longest time so that my grandchildren can go to university. But today, my grandchildren are sitting at home. They can't even go to university because the money that we have saved with VBS, it has been stolen. This is painful, man. This is one of the most painful things to ever happen in this country. It is one of the most painful things to ever happen in this country. And for us as South Africans, man, we really have to make sure that this story does not die. We really have to make sure that we keep talking about this story as our token of support to these people that have been robbed of their life savings. It is so important for us to make sure that this story is alive. This story must not die. It must not die. It must not die.
Mother, and they were sleeping outside the bank on the stoep in the cold in June, July in Thohoyandou out of absolute fear and horror because they've just heard on the radio and from their neighbors that their money had just disappeared from the bank. I wrote about many people in the investigation into VBS, so Ernest Nasani and Paul Magula, Kabelo Matsepe, Danny Msiza, number of people who looted the bank. And in the end, the ANC said, well, yes, some individuals did receive money and they need to account. It wasn't an ANC-sanctioned situation, so we distance ourselves. The EFF, on the other hand, had always denied it. It's always been that the EFF and Julius and Floyd received no money, and that every other journalist who make that claim is ridiculous and wrong, and the allegations are false. When that happens, such strong counter-allegations that you are wrong, journalists have an obligation to fact-check the claim. And the more I started investigating their claims of not being involved, the more I realized and the more I received evidence that it's not true at all. And the more we started writing about what happened. So in essence, the money flowed from VBS Mutual Bank linked companies, Wegezi, Malibongwe Petroleum, Robvet, and Vele Investments. Those 4 companies sent deposits to a company we call Schameka Projects. That company was officially owned by Brian Shivambu. When I analyzed, and this is a technique our authorities and the FBI and worldwide investigative authorities use, is to go and look at the beneficial owner of the money. It doesn't matter actually when we suspect that something is used as a shell or something is used as a front, it doesn't matter who officially owns the account or owns a company. What it actually is doing is the important part. So who receives the benefit of this company? So what I did then is to go and fact check who receives the benefit of the money. Now 3 entities received the benefit. The EFF in their Standard Bank account, 2 Standard Bank accounts, received a total of 1.3 million rand and in 4 payments. And I heard that former chair of the EFF, Dalian Paulford, denied that this ever happened on the Clement Manyatela show on Radio 702. I have the Schameka bank statements. The Mutau and Worksman's investigation also showed that 1.3 million rand flowed through the EFF. The money then went to the EFF, to Mahuna Investments, and to Grand Azania, 2 other companies. And that is important because when I analyzed the expenditure of those 2 companies, I realized that Mahuna was the front of Julius Malema and Grand Azania was the front of Floyd Shivambu.
Jesus. So, Pauli van Wyk is actually alleging that maybe the money did not go into EFF as an organization, but the money actually went to the leaders of the EFF, which is Floyd Shivambu and Julius Malema. Maybe it did not go straight into the account of the EFF, because this is what the EFF is arguing, that we even sent our Treasurer General to look at the books to see if we have actually received money from VBS, and we didn't receive money from VBS. And right now, Pauli van Wyk says that no, that money from Sgameka, it went to Mahuna Investment, and this Mahuna Investment belongs to Julius Malema, and it also went to Grand Azania, and Grand Azania, it is a shell company belonging to Floyd Shivambu. More.
And what we also know about Floyd Shivambu's funds is that sum of 180,000 rand was paid from Grand Azania into Floyd Shivambu's account. We've traced the money from VBS mutual bank linked companies through a number of fronts right into Floyd Shivambu's private bank account. Parliament investigated the matter and then fined Floyd Shivambu a few months' salary. SARS is also the revenue service is also.
Yeah, the Parliament. I remember the Parliament Ethics Committee found Floyd Shivambu guilty of not declaring the money that he got from Sgameka Project, and Sgameka Project is that shell company that belonged to brother of Floyd Shivambu, and Sgameka Project got the money from Vele Investment, and Vele Investment belongs to Tsifiwa Matodi, and Vele Investment got the money straight from VBS. I remember the Parliament Ethics Committee said, man, why didn't you declare these funds that you got from Sgameka Project?
Shivambu a few months' salary. SARS is also the revenue service is also on Brian Shivambu's tracks and liquidated Grand Azania and liquidated Sgameka projects. About Mahuna, we don't know too much, so we don't know whether SARS have concluded an investigation in that realm. Brian Shivambu had to pay back 4 million rand in loans. As things stand, the NPA has charged more than 40 people for the crimes committed at VBS Mutual Bank. These include the 8 main people involved in breaking the banking system and moving the money around. Those include Matotsi and Philip Tritter, who are the only 2 people who had pleaded guilty. The Citizen newspaper had told us this week that Philip Tritter has already been out on parole. Matotsi will now start his 15-year sentence. People like Danny Msiza, Kabelo Matsepe, Paul Magula, Ernest Nasani, and the rest of the people who assisted in breaking the bank are still charged and is the co-accused. And it is expected that Philip Tritter and Matotsi will be witnesses against the accused. The accused also include some of the municipal managers and people who were commission agents and assisting in fleecing the bank. People consistently ask why the EFF have not been charged. The prosecuting authority is consistently telling us that everyone who looted VBS will be and have their day in court. And we have to support them and consistently ask those questions.
Man, this story is insane. This story is insane, man. Like, this is one of the most craziest stories to ever happen in this country, man. It is so insane. I just hope that everyone who played a role in the collapse of VBS, they get exactly what belongs to them. What those people did to those poor citizens, man, it can never be reversed. It can never be reversed. So, guys, please tell me what you think on the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button, and the most important part, subscribe. My name is Thomas Mabaso. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.